Alright. What to do first? Let's go ahead and put on some music. We'll go with League of Legends music because I don't want anything muted out of the broadcast when it finally makes its way over to VODs. But I'll look into it so I don't overdo it, I guess, on the League music. Hey Lucas, how's it going, man? Good to see you too. Like good old times. How's the audio? Can you hear me okay? What's up, Matt? Well, looks like video's coming through good. Sweet. Yo, looks like all the boys are turning out. That's good. Alright, I think I can get rid of this over here then. Cool. Alright. Oh man, this music sounds a little too hardcore for question and answer. What do you think? Oh! Whoops. That's okay. I'm sure it'll be good. Maybe I'll just turn that hardcore voice down a bit. Do I hear Metallica influences? Yo, Matt, how's it going? Man, that's awesome. Thanks for showing up, guys. I appreciate it. All right, so a couple notes, a couple things to note. I do have a Pax Sivir giveaway. I don't know the best way of doing this. I want to kind of give it away at the end of the show. But then at the same time I kind of want to make sure that everybody who showed up, you know, gets a chance to get in it. So maybe I have to look into some Twitch specific randomizers that'll track whoever's logged into the stream and participating in the chat. You know, that'd be kind of cool. yeah, buddy. You know, I think I need raffle system is exactly what I need. Tell you what, bonus points to somebody who links me to a efficient raffle system that I can use. I have never outfitted a stream with bells and whistles before. You know, I almost always just log on. I play ladder, I focus, and I try my best to answer questions along the way. That's been my regular MO, I think, for streaming. But this time around, I want to do something a little different. I want to do a lot more educational content. I want to coach, and I want to answer questions. So, starting now, right off the line, please, please ask me questions, and I can just dive right into it. That way, I don't have to mumble the whole time around. When will I be uploading it? My goal is to have them uploaded at the latest by tomorrow evening. You know, chances are I'm going to sleep after the stream and then have breakfast, and then that's when I aim to tackle it and get it up and good to go. Also, any of the bugs or errors that you're seeing on the login for the League Cookie site, that's another thing we're going to be trying to tackle tomorrow as well. So tomorrow will be a busy day, but I do aim to have them up on the YouTube channel, the new YouTube channel, right away. And I haven't decided, but maybe for the first few videos I'll do a little bit of editing as well. That way I can like get straight to the content. I can't imagine anybody wants to listen to all the stuff that goes on in between. But we'll see. That sounds a little time consuming. We'll kind of figure it out as we go. Alright, nobody looks like they have posted anything with the raffle, so I'll kind of do that in the background here. Let's take a look here. Twitch raffle system. What you got for me? Twitch giveaways. Nightbot, huh? Raffle command system giveaway on Drek Twitch bot. Best way to do a random giveaway on Reddit. Beta Nightbot.tv/giveaways. Awesome. Let's give it a shot. Sign into Nightbot. Okay. I shall sign in to Nightbot. Yeah, if I'm getting fished on here, this will be the fastest anybody's ever logged away their account. Users. 0 users. Interesting. I wonder what I have to do to get said users. Okay, eligibility. Mods, regulars, subscribers, paid subscribers, ordinary users, channel regulars, and mods. Well, let's start by... A subscriber gets no extra luck. Regulars get no extra luck. How about a little bit of extra luck? Do I have regulars? It's been a while since I've had you guys as my regulars. Users active within the last 5 minutes are eligible to win. No, I don't know about that jazz. Oh. 15. Go to dashboard and have Nightbot join the channel. Thank you so much, Jason. We'll check that out immediately. Oh, looks like my hardcore League of Legends music has stopped playing as well. Gee, production values in full blast here. That's weird. It's on a playlist. Random loop playlist. I guess I'll revisit that in a second. Dang, it is hot up in here. Maybe I should have thought of that too. Okay, back on track, back on focus. Corrupted bot, huh? I don't like that I see your name in there, Lucas. Doesn't look very innocent. Alright, let's see about that dashboard. First, we'll go to Twitch. I have to get used to typing Johno coaching instead of Goomba stomping. Johno coaching instead of Goomba stomping. Well, there I am. Looks like my voice is coming through okay. That's good. Get desktop. No. Everybody's gonna find out real quick how awesomely adept I am at online interfaces. Dashboard, here we are. Okay. Oh snap, we got 9 viewers in the house watching me sweat. Okay. Auto host, I don't know about that jazz. Don't care about the privacy policy, I just want Nightbot. I'm gonna have to tutor how to get Nightbot. There's no issue, we're just trying to get Nightbot to join the channel and then use Nightbot to do a giveaway, and so that way I'm ready to do it by the end of the night. So I guess that is an issue, because I do need to get Nightbot to join my channel. Let's take a look here. View preview, add videos. Okay, so maybe it's on the left. Moderation, maybe? Bots do moderating, right? Streaming apps. Surely. No, these are tools on how to stream. Settings. Alright, somebody tell me how to make Nightbot join my channel. There should be a join channel button at the top right of the dashboard for Nightbot interface. Oh, okay, so I'm way off because I don't even think I'm on Nightbot interface. Let's take a look here. Nightbot. Oh, dashboard. Join channel. No kidding. Okay, next steps. Ensure that you have modded Nightbot in the right channel. If Nightbot is not a moderator, it cannot function properly. Head to your Twitch channel and type /mod Nightbot in chat. Okay. You have added Nightbot as a moderator of this room. Alright, Nightbot, go get him. Messages, commands. It looks like tomorrow I'm gonna have to set up some bells and whistles on my channel. Get some follower announcements, donation announcements, that kind of thing. In the meantime, though, I would like to do a little test. It says roll it. Users. Reset eligibility. Oh, I see one person in my... I see one person. We got Woodonger. Who's gonna join Chris? Oh, maybe it's whoever messaged after I gave the Nightbot admin. Oh yeah, everybody's getting entered. Nobody even had to type a message. Oh, why is Nightbot destroying Matt? Oh my god. What's he doing? Alright. So let's see, spam protection. Here we go. Excess caps. No, I don't really care about. How do I? Is there disable? Okay, here we go. Disable. I think we can leave up. We can probably leave up the blacklist. Excessive emotes disabled. I love emotes. I love links. I don't mind symbols. You know, I think until we're like 300 people strong, I don't know if I really need any of this. I'll leave up the blacklist words and phrases, and if anything funny, comes up, you know, you just let me know, and I'll tell Nightbot to chill. That's hilarious. And beat down Matt. That cracks me up. One of my most helpful dudes gets whacked before the stream even starts answering questions. Okay. Oh yeah, music. How do I just... There's gotta be an autoplay button here on Twitch that I'm missing here. Settings, maybe? Speed, quality, annotations. My Twitch used to just play all the songs in a playlist without me having to mess with it. Is there a play all button somewhere? Maybe I'll just try this loop button and see if that works. Alright. I turned off all the stuffs. I think we're good. Cool. Okay. Well, not to put everybody on the spot, but this stream is supposed to be about answering questions, esports related, League of Legends, or, well, probably League of Legends related. So why don't you go ahead and hit me with some questions. As far as the giveaway is concerned, you know, after I'm looking at this, you know how everybody always says to type that keyword? I wonder if just any words work for the giveaway, you know? That's kind of amusing. Maybe there's a way you can set it. Giveaway type, active user. Oh, I get it here. Oh, keyword. There we go. Yeah, we're gonna have to set. We'll have to set something. That sounds fun. Cool. Well, maybe for tonight we'll just do whoever can tough it out until 9 or 9:30, and then I'll do the giveaway randomly between 9 and 9:30, and then for the old up and coming Pax Sivir skins, we'll just do it. I'll give somebody an extra credit if they were here tonight. Streamlabs.com. Shoot, you know what? Since, you know, maybe if you guys don't mind, I'll take this opportunity to go grab some whatchamacallit, some functionality to my Twitch here. Log in with Twitch, Streamlabs, authorize. Oh my gosh. Sweet. Okay, well so far we got 3 follows. Thank you. Jason Swagner and McSonus. Now, all of that looks like it needs some customization. So maybe I will leave that alone. All right, we got our first question. Support role. I tend to lean towards prioritizing maxing CDR over everything else. And I have a question: should this be my blanket main priority, or should I be looking more in depth on specific champion basis? I think it definitely should be a champion specific basis, because you're really looking at what does your support want to do in a dream team fight. Like, what is your dream team fight? What does it look like, right? So for characters like Bard and Sona, Morgana even, their dream team fight revolves a lot around repeatedly landing cooldowns over and over again and like really just draining all their mana and pumping out spells like crazy. Because for every round of cooldowns that they put out, they're like borderline doubling their effectiveness, right? But not every support has that exact same functionality or that exact same game plan. So for example, a lot of the tank supports are often most concerned about that initial impact, right? We're talking like Leona, right? Leona ult, E, Q, she's trying to murder that one person and then reassess, right? You know, even Braum, what's most important to Braum is the very beginning of the team fight, his ultimate going off on multiple targets, and then him getting back to his AD carry for the shield, and making sure that that shield is a choice shield and not just a generic, you know, I'm putting this up because it's a team fight and I hope that I block some damage, right? Looking for specific cooldowns from the enemy team. The Nami tidal wave example gets overused by quite a bit, but you know, it could be anything from a Nidalee Spear to Lee Sin Q, just any key cooldown that you're really ahead of time focusing on. So for those kinds of characters, there's no way I would ever rush that 40% CDR. I'm looking at much more effective items. You know, sure, if it lines up, if the enemy team's got like 3 auto-attacking champions, yeah, grab that Frozen Heart, that's 20% CDR, and that plus your Eye of the Equinox and maybe one other item, you know, like Knight's Vow or something, that's 40%. But you're doing that because the Frozen Heart had a lot of value. You know, otherwise, you know, even after the nerfs to Locket, you know, being that now it scales better off of max HP rather than being a just a generic catch-all for a good item. Even with those changes, you'll still see supports rush that item out, right? You're talking anybody that builds Ardent Sensor. I mean, you can look at the win rates over at on op.gg. You'll see that despite not being a CDR-based item, early Locket builds tend to win more games. Why? Because the item is phenomenal and it spreads Ardent Sensor around, right? That doesn't have anything to do with hitting that 40% CDR cap. So, to answer it maybe a little bit more simply, pick based on comp, pick based on champion. You know, pick based on what it is that you want to do in a given fight, and that'll probably serve you better than just hardcore prioritizing 40% CDR. You know, I don't think it's bad though. League certainly tried a lot to push it in the direction of naturally getting 40% CDR. Every support item nowadays has CDR. They infused it into everything. I wonder what's up with this darn playlist. There must be a setting somewhere that I have that says don't play all the videos. Play all, browse all, settings. I don't want to go into settings. I know that YouTube, no way, it's not going to be in there at all. I swear there was a little button before, maybe. Oh well. I've always been a noob with trying to navigate through websites. Alright. So Streamlabs looks pretty damn cool. I wonder if for now it'll be efficient enough for me just to glance over at Streamlabs every now and then to see if I've been followed, etc. Rox Fox Riven, what up? Thank you so much for subbing. That's exciting. I like thanking subs on or not sub followers on Twitch. You guys are all subs to me though, you know. That's awesome. Cool. So we got a good question answered off of Chris. I think to just kind of keep this natural and flowing, I'm gonna start hopping over to the Summoner School, League of Legends Summoner School on Reddit and answering questions there. I always figured I could just upload it to a YouTube and then shoot them a answer to their questions maybe the next day or something of that sort. But I want to prioritize the chat, so you know, if you guys have questions, please hit me up. I am an open book tonight, although I'm not sure I'm getting along with this hardcore Infinity Edge song. Not quite my style. But I hear that they won't blink out my audio if I use it, so sweet. Okay, let's go ahead and hit up a Summoner School question. All right. Wow, this is a long question. You think I should copy it into the chat so people have like a reference and can read it? How personal is this getting, I wonder? I wonder if Homeboy had no idea he was going to be on live TV. I suppose I'll just leave it. I'll leave it for now. Matchup specific question. When playing Sona, I feel like certain matchups are a stalemate, particularly when facing sustained supports like Nami. I hate the feeling when the lane is a draw. How do you handle these boring lanes to increase your odds of winning? That's a fantastic question. So, there's a couple different things that you want to look for. First is, similar to a chess situation, if you take the two most similar supports in the game, you're probably going to have those natural drawing, natural stalemating type scenarios, right? There are very, very few support combinations that are as similar as Sona and Nami. I mean, we're talking both have good poke, both have good heal, both have, you know, decent CC, and at level 6 they both do AoE engages, right? So, you know, they both buff movement speed when retreating. On that note, I would kind of rewind a bit and ask yourself, like, what would you do if you were versing yourself, right? It's a little bit easier if you can identify early a difference in player skill level. For example, if I'm playing, say, the Sona side of that matchup, I'll pay really, really close attention to how Nami is managing specifically her W and her E. Right, because if she's managing that poorly, if I notice that she isn't getting bounces, then I know I can use my mana bar and the efficiency of the resources to basically outperform her point for point, right? So if she doesn't bounce very frequently, then I know that I should prioritize my Sona W, making sure that not only do I get the heal, but I get the heal and the shield to go off at the same time, preferably with both, you know, affecting like my AD carry, for example. Not just that, I'm looking also to make sure that the heal triggers every single time a trade is in the process of happening. That way the bonus resistances from Windspeaker's Blessing kick in, right? If you're getting that extra value out of the Sona heal and that Nami is not getting the value out of her Ws, her mana will not go as far, and the game is balanced as such that she needs to get that value if you're getting it, right? So if the matchup is really similar, don't try uber hard to find some magical answer on how to like overcome a stalemate situation. Instead, you know, accept that there are stalemate chances and try to play your Sona to hyper efficiency level. Another thing you can do in that scenario is to really, really look at the interactions between the AD carries, right? Because, I mean, if you're Sona versus Nami, there might be some differences in the AD carry, like Jhin versus Vayne, or like Lucian versus Varus or something. And obviously this is starting to get a little bit outside of the scope of the question, but if you have an AD carry with their own attributes, their own unique effects, right? I personally feel like AD carries are a little too similar, but some of them do have rather interesting kits that are a little bit different than their opponents. And you want to learn to play to that strength and avoid scenarios where their champion is a little bit weaker. You know, so there's a lot of different scenarios that might come up with that, but you're really, really looking at range and poke. If you're superior on the range and poke front, then oftentimes you can give up the sustain route, right? Because if Nami is forced into using her W as a sustaining tool, you can go full offense and really control. Of course, you have to account for a full offensive playstyle with better warding and better map awareness and such, but it is there. You can find differences and play to it, whereas if your champion doesn't have the poking route, you can even go the opposite approach, learn to do things like counter poke the Nami as she comes forward, you know, make sure, again, that you're hyper-sustaining with your W best you can. So that was one part of the question with an example. I mean, and the lane will be boring if there's no like playmaker in bot lane. You and Nami both become playmakers at level 6, but before that you're really looking just to punch that AD carry to oblivion. Other matchups, you know, can be kind of interesting, right? So, for example, the Sona versus Janna matchup, which is really, really popular right now. Often, to gain an edge, you're really looking to play around the Janna shield, and you know you're looking at trading some of your health bar to get more choice two-man Qs, right? So what you're used to doing with Sona. All right, I'm sorry, this penta-Q music's just too hardcore for me. We'll have to put it on hiatus for a second. With Sona, you're usually looking to punch somebody really hard with auto attack, power chord, or rather auto attack Q power chord, right? And that's a lot of damage. The Janna will see it on reaction, she'll shield. And if she's playing properly, she's probably even playing a little bit further back. And you've gotten used to this playstyle, or this trend of punching as hard as you can with auto attack Q power chord, falling away with some sustain usually. So how do you get some advantages in this like stalemate type situation? Well, one thing you can do is you can purposefully take more aggressive positions bush side, right? And push in and go a little bit deeper. The chances are the enemy will harass you. But in these contexts, usually what you can end up doing is trading some of your health, or health potions in this case, for 2-man Qs, right? The more 2-man Qs you get, the harder it is for Janna to sustain. And over a longer period of time, you know, it'll prove effective. But I think that even in Diamond, it's not difficult to bait people's cooldowns. Everybody's a sucker on not on League of Legends. Everybody's a sucker, right? Pressure them really hard, and visualize yourself trying to force them to use the Janna shield. And then as soon as it drops, just like punch really hard. You know, these boring stalemate situations, I wish there was like a perfect way to put it, but you know, that kind of question is more usually suitable for your own engage champs, you know. You're saying matchup specific with Sona, so I won't get into it with Leona or Thresh or something like that, but you know, it is definitely worth thinking about. It's most of the time it's on the playmaker support to make the play. Other than that, one last thing. I know I've been a little long-winded on this answer, but I love support matchup, so I tend to talk a little longer on these. Regarding the like ways to spice the lane up or to maybe get an advantage, is to look more specifically at your recall times and to work with your AD carry to recall at good times. It might sound like something you should do every day, or every game, and it's true. You should do it every game, but people lose sight of it really easily. If you're playing Sona and you recall with exactly enough money to get Frostfang and like 2 potions and a pink ward, or like 1 potion and a pink ward, and you're hitting that timing perfectly, by seeing it in advance, knowing how much gold you have, pushing the enemy into tower, and then recalling. What you're doing is you're like creating these windows where the conscious player, the player who's making conscious decisions, is going to be able to get a more efficient recall in. And that translates into either the opponent staying in lane and you have the Frostfang advantage, and so there we've broken that stalemate. Or alternatively, the enemy recalls at a poor time in reaction to you, right? If they're reacting, that means they're recalling after you. They're not getting as optimal of a buy-in, and that'll open up advantages somewhere. You just have to find it, right? Maybe you can get that advantage by roaming mid and doing something like slow chord ignite Q, and if your mid laner has some CC, you can turn that into a kill. You know, or at least burn the enemy mid laner's flash. Maybe this is your chance to go get deep wards, right? If the opponent recalls in reaction to you, you can get quadrant control of a specific jungle area. You can go deep in there and get some good wards down. It might not necessarily break up the monotony of the bot lane double sustain matchup, but what it will do is it'll give you that opportunity to make plays with your team or avoid enemy bad, like dangerous plays like roaming and jungler ganks and stuff like that. So, you know, there's always an advantage to be found somewhere, but just like in a chess game, if you're equal skill with your opponent and the matchup is the same, you guys have the same pieces, you know, you're going to have to really, really work at finding that advantage. Because if they're the same skill level as you, you know, nothing's going to come for free, nothing's going to come even. But it's pretty rare for 4 people in bot lane to all be similar skilled. Somebody's going to make a mistake. You can bait somebody's cooldown, you know. I'm pretty darn sure. So I hope that answers your question. Lick under my balls. Thank you for following, man. I appreciate it. That is quite the name. Alright. As an Orianna main, I've always had trouble playing Yasuo in lane. I'm assuming playing against Yasuo in lane. I feel like this lane is a lane that you should dominate. How do I win and crush the lane? So, I'll start off by saying that Yasuo has always been a rather interesting champ in that his kit is one that forces errors, right? I mean, we can be realistic here, right? His kit is one that forces errors. There's just no way around it. The way he can dash through minions, wind wall, you know, the mobility, the fact that his shield resource is just so consistent and readily available for him, the fact that he often has access to vamp, all these factors make it so that he tends to naturally force errors from the other player. So what I can give you are very, very broad tips, general tips that hopefully will give you a new perspective on how to fight him and give you a little bit of advantage. So let's start at the top by saying maybe somewhat of a pseudo disclaimer that if you can look up match videos, and you can do this a number of ways. You can go through na.op.gg, which is what I always recommend first, to look at real replays, right? Because if you look online on YouTube, which you should still do if you have the time for it, you should go to YouTube and watch match videos. YouTube will restrict you to only seeing challenger really replays. You'll almost only see like highlight videos where that Orianna just crushes that Yasuo, and it's like pretty unrealistic. I mean, for the average game, right? The YouTube videos you'll see, it's like Ori just like rips Yasuo a new one. Stuff like that. I recommend going to na.op.gg, maybe pulling up some of the more proficient Orianna through that little Masters column on the right-hand side, Orianna Masters, or just browsing through players at your skill level. So if you're a gold player, maybe look one tier above. Try to find some platinum players, and you can always, if you don't know where to start, you can start by just grabbing like a friend's account who's in platinum, look through their match history, and try to find an Orianna player. Pick that Orianna, and then look for, I'm sure you can filter it by champs too, but anyway, you get the idea. Find replays of players near your skill bracket and kind of watch. Because when you're in the actual game, you're loaded with just tons and tons of stresses, map awareness, farming, last hitting. Like, it's not just like, how do you beat Yasuo 1v1, right? It's so many pressures. How do I scale into late game? Am I building too much armor? Do I need to do this? Oh, I'm getting camped. Like, all these other things are weighing in, and it's dramatically affecting your ability to improve, dramatically affecting your ability to analyze your own matchup, right? It weighs you down. It weighs you down big time. So go watch other people play the matchup, and you'll be like, "Oh, damn, I can do it better than that guy." But you're not you're in the operations chair. It's a little easier. Okay, so let's answer the question more directly. How can you beat Yasuo? How can you do a little better? The first is you have to be hyper vigilant about proccing his shield when it's up. Now, when I say hyper vigilant, I mean it needs to be on your mind all of the time, right? So when you see his flow, the flow bar build up, you must auto attack him and then disengage from creep aggro. You must do that every single time, because if you don't consistently drop that shield and force him to have windows where you can actually harass him and get damage to stick, if you don't do that, just imagine that you're always playing his game, right? You're always playing to his strength. Yes, you can still beat somebody if you're always playing their game. You have to be a lot better than them, right? You have to overwhelm them in other ways, if you're going to do that. If you want just a general advantage, that's step one. Make sure that you're always threatening that flow bar. The second thing is that you always want to look for 2-for-1 value off of your spells as Orianna. This is like, you probably get the idea. If you fire a Q at your opponent and shield, you want that shield to consistently be hitting Yasuo, potentially proccing Thunderlords. You want that shield to be absorbing minion aggro or damage from your passive auto attacks. You want to work that auto attack a lot in that matchup, right? You want that shield to be hitting Yasuo, shielding you from damage, absorbing the full amount of the shield. You want to start squeezing out like you're wringing a sponge. You want to squeeze out as much value as you can from your abilities. It can't just be, oh, I used my mana to combo him with some spells and then your shield goes to waste, right? That guy does not have resources, man. He gets as much free cooldowns as he wants, and a shield. You can't just throw your mana bar out there doing some burst damage, right? If Homeboy has a couple potions, you're talking 150 health per potion, not counting the vamp, not counting the HP 5, not counting how many times the shield comes back up. If you want to crush, those were your words, if you want to crush a Yasuo, or was it dominate? Oh, you feel like you should dominate it. You want to crush him. If you want to crush him, you got to squeeze out every last drop of resource out of Orianna, for sure. Some other details that you can do along the idea of value is, of course, if you can hit him and the minions at the same time, that's extra value, right? So if you ever get the chance to both QW him while he's in his own caster wave, that's a really big play. It won't feel like it while you're actually playing, but that simultaneous harassment and wave control, you get both at the same time. You do that enough times and the advantages just start stacking. It doesn't feel like it when you're in game, but if you analyze it over a whole laning phase, you know, especially without dramatic variance coming from junglers, if you take that and look at how much value you get for pushing simultaneously and harassment, it's like worth its weight in gold. That's some of the best advice I've ever gotten. My friend Keith actually, way back when, I was really struggling with the Mordekaiser matchup. This is old Mordekaiser, by the way, really old one. And he pointed out that if I can avoid, you know, the harassment from his Q used to bounce around all the minions, and he still had his cone that built his shield up. And Keith was like, yeah, as long as he doesn't get both, you know, it's actually a pretty easy matchup to bully the Mord. And you know, I took that to heart with every single champion, not just Mord, and it's fantastic advice. That'll really help you against Yasuo. What's some other advice? You know, Orianna specific stuff, you know, like she gets bonus resistances when the ball is on her. So I cringe a little bit when, you know, you're in a situation where you're trying to just consistently auto-attack the Yasuo instead of use all your spells, but you don't have the ball on you because you queued out and the ball is like somewhere else. You know, buy their caster minions, right? Keep the ball on you, because what's happening is when you're auto-attacking Yasuo, you're getting the bonus resistances, which will help with minion aggro, and it'll help if Yasuo like returns fire with a Q. So that's always nice. Ball on you is good. In really clutch situations, the hula hoop play is pretty good, where you have the Ori ball on you when you ultimate. So if you're in a situation where you need to be clutch, I'm not saying go out of your way to hula hoop every chance you get, okay? Please don't take this out of context. I'm talking in clutch situations. Hula hoop ult with Orianna, like ult flash with hula hoop, is pretty good against Yasuo. You can't really do very much against it if your jungler is there. So in a clutch situation, just remember you have access to that, because you can ult flash with the hula hoop, and then QW auto around his wind wall no sweat if you've already done that, right? Whereas if you're trying to set up for it and he wind walls, well, it'll block your ball, you know, and then the play is over. Again, I'm a coach that stresses the consistency, so the hula hoop play maybe a little ambitious. That's like Janna's using their flash ult to knock people backwards. You know, in extremely niche circumstances, that might be okay, but you generally don't want to be doing that kind of stuff. Orianna versus Yasuo. There's always a lot, you know. Two other things. I'll wrap this up with two other ideas. One is, I can only take this metal shredding in short bursts. I'm sure there's a metalhead out there who's just like, you know, like rocking out to my advice across this PentaQ music, but okay, now that I got my thoughts back, let's talk about Yasuo a little bit with his Q. Alright, one mistake players make pretty frequently is that they only play Yasuo's game with the tornado. And what I mean by that is that they only see it as he's got 3 stacks, so now I know he wants to tornado me, or now I know he wants to dash through minions and do dash knock up, right? And when they see that, they play the exact same way every time. They naturally back up. I dislike this style of play because it gives up all lane control that you have. And during this time, Yasuo gets to control the wave. He gets to vamp. You know, he gets to take up space. I really dislike the way most players play against Yasuo with his 3 stacks. Now, I'll be the first to admit that I'm not perfect either, and if I'm scared of Yasuo, I might be the same way. But if we're talking theory here, and we're talking playing to your full potential, Don't let Yasuo just control the lane when he's got 3 stacks. Take into account a lot of different things, right? Take into account whether it's even feasible for the enemy jungler to gank you when Yasuo has 3 stacks up. Have you ever thought about that? Most people play as if the jungler is sitting right there ready to kill them if Yasuo lands a tornado. Have you ever stopped to think that, well, there's no real way the jungler could even be here. Maybe I saw him in a different lane. Maybe that side is warded. Maybe you're too close to the tower for it to make sense for the jungler to gank you. If that's the case, make Yasuo put his money where his mouth is, right? Like, pressure the guy and accept that you might eat a tornado. Accept it. Just say, that's part of the plan. Right? Make him play a 50-50 game where you step into him, you know, again, pacing yourself with the sword cooldown, auto attack him, and strafe hard left, strafe hard right, right? What he has to do now is he has to play a game with you, a guessing game on which way you're going to strafe. You know, and the better the Yasuo, the better they'll aim, the better they'll control the situation. But be okay in the right circumstances. Maybe your life bar is pretty decent. Right? Maybe you've got more life than the Yasuo does. Maybe you bought a couple extra health potions because you know the matchup is frustrating. You bought a couple more health potions, or in Ori's case, those should be biscuits. That's 165 health per health potion, 15 mana, right? You know, maybe you're comfortable. And if you're comfortable, be okay with taking the occasional tornado. You know, I see people at full life and they're just like, oh god, his tornado's up, I better give him space. Yep, better give him some space. I'm just going to last it until that tornado is down. I think that's the wrong way to play the situation most of the time. You know, if you're hella aggressive, you're pushing that lane, you know, you've got no wards and, you know, the jungler could be around the corner and Yasuo's level 6, yeah, you probably got to respect that tornado, right? But that's not the situation all of the time, you know. You know, try your best to actually consider what will happen if the tornado hits you. I've had a lot of situations where Yasuo hits me with a tornado, and then he dashes in to try to fight me, but of course I've already procced his cooldown on his shield, because I do that all the time with a mage. And then I beat his ass on his way out, and he doesn't do that to me anymore. That's a good strategy, right? Again, circumstantial, but look for it. Look for the chance. And lastly, something I think that's pretty important is just to remember that you guys are very different champions in the late game. One's a control mage, one's a I don't know, do-it-all melee champion type character, I guess. Just remember that, you know, come the later stages of the game, your ridiculous range and your ability to murder squishies from very far back is a skill that Yasuo doesn't have access to. I know you asked about lane specific. I felt like I gave quite a bit of info on that. But don't forget about the mid to late game. You know, your ult is a very powerful tool as Orianna, and a lot of the times, especially if I'm thinking in a ranked 5's context, I don't even think when I tell a teammate to pick Orianna, or when I advise a team to pick Orianna, we're not even thinking about lane, right? It's like, if Syndra is banned on the enemy team, and our team comp can utilize Orianna ult in a way that's oppressive or lacks counterplay from the enemy team, you know, that's why we pick Orianna, you know, and that has nothing to do with the lane. You know, you can crush Yasuo by crushing his family and his teammates. Watch the Donghwap video. Thank you, Matt, for the plug on that one, or the recommend on that one. That was really good. Donghwap's Yasuo video is fantastic. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Also, guys, if while I'm giving out these answers, if it sparks another question or something of that sort, you know, fire away. You know, we've got 45 minutes to kill. You know, I'm totally down with follow-up questions as well. Least favorite support right now is Brand. Basic fighting strat versus him. Oh boy. Oh boy, Brand's a tough one. What I can tell you is that Riot made a stealthy change to the way Frostfang works, so he no longer gets all 3 stacks from his Frostfang, or Spell Thief's Edge, or whatever tier it is, Frost Queen's Claim. He doesn't get all 3 stacks from his passive anymore, which changes Brand quite a bit. Brand used to, before his rework, be able to hit you with a W, and it would proc all of the Spell Thief Edge stacks, and it would also proc a passive that would do more percent health than it does now, because back then he got a lot more percent damage. I think it was like 8% or higher on individual spells with one cast, right? And so back then, harassing with Pillar was like a really, really good way for Brand to take over a lane. Nowadays, Brand is much more about comboing, and you should never forget that. So how do you fight Brand? The first and most important thing is to try your best to juke. But that's obvious. Anybody will tell you that. But the second thing is to remember that when Brand all-ins, he is squishy, so he is counting on his all-in working. If the all-in doesn't work, he loses, right? Which to me means that first thing I want to do is identify who he's casting spells on, and I don't want to just be on the lookout for it. I want to be like lightning. I want to be so fast at identifying where Brand is assigning his aggro, right? I mean, I want that window to be razor thin. The split second he casts the spell on either target, I want to be on the move, right, and active, because when he starts that, he doesn't really have too many other options other than get rocked or rock the enemy, right? And so if you're the one who gets targeted, you go into full-on dodge mode, and don't worry so much about returning fire. Think about it like Brand gets rewarded for landing a pillar, or landing his E by getting in close. That wasn't free. He actually had to skill shot it, or he had to get close to your champion, which should open the door for your counterplay, right? He had to do something skillful to score damage, right? And once that happens, don't worry so much about returning damage. Just say, I'll get him next time, right? Don't give him that opportunity to land the full combo, right? If he goes on your teammate, understand that Brand will absolutely hate to change targets, because Brand's all about landing all 3 spells on one target to get the maximum value out of his passive, the big nuke that we all know so well. He wants that all in to, really, really hurt. So change targets. Go get aggressive and hit Brand if Brand goes for your AD carry. It's the same advice I give for a Blitzcrank pull. When Blitzcrank fires his pull, it's a one-time deal. It's on that target, and so the other guy should never be playing passively. They should just go all in like a damn bulldog. They should just get in there and mess somebody up because that pull is down. It's a little bit harder to see with Brand, but it's still there. If Brand does EQ on your AD carry, let's say it's staggered a bit, he would hate to have to WU instead. Right? He would love to make sure all 3 spells hit the same target. So that's one thing you can think about, when fighting Brand. Oftentimes, well, we're back at needing a cooldown from the music. Oftentimes, it's important to respect a champion's strengths, right? You don't go at Brand with a character that does pitter-patter damage and say like, dang, John, how do I beat this guy in damage? How do I beat him in lane? Brand was more or less designed to whoop ass, and do a lot of damage. I mean, his kit doesn't really have any other utility, right? So maybe similar to the Orianna example, you look at what your champion has with strengths and try to win at your own game. If you're, say for example, you're playing Sona, I don't know which support you like playing, but let's just say we'll start with Sona. She's popular and she's awesome. One of Sona's strengths is setting up ganks really well at level 6, right? So Sona sets up the ganks, whereas Brand needs the gank to be set up for him, and then he rocks it, right? He rocks that ult. So if you're playing Sona in this circumstance, what you're looking for good ward coverage so that Brand doesn't get the chance to let his combo out for free, right? If you're Sona, you're also looking to communicate. A lot of people have the stigma about asking for help or asking for a gank. I assure you that when I play League of Legends, I yell and scream at my teammates to gank for me because I want that advantage and I want that synergy. Your teammate doesn't know what you're thinking. But if I'm like Sona and I have my ult, as I'm level 5 and halfway there, I'm already typing to my jungler. I'm like, yo, dude, here, my ult's about to come up. You need to be in my lane. You need to be in my lane and ready to rock, right? That's kind of how I utilize resources. And I try to play to my champion's strengths. You know, the healing and the sustain are really, really important. Brand has a mana pool, and that mana pool has to sustain him until he gets a kill, an assist, or he can recall, right? So maybe, depending on what AD carry your teammate's playing, maybe encourage them to pick up a second Doran Blade. That makes a huge difference when it comes to sustain. You know, maybe encourage them to get a, like if it's a Vayne, encourage them to go Bork instead of Infinity Edge route. You kind of have to know your stuff before you go making recommendations. You don't want to be like recommending, you know, some random champion that can't really use Bork. You don't want to be like, hey, use Bork. But like Lucian likes to build Bork. Vayne likes to build Bork sometimes. Dravens like to go Bloodthirster first item. Maybe edge your AD carry in that direction. Say like, hey, look, you know, Brand's going to beat us in damage, but we can out-sustain his mana pool if we get some Vamp early. You know, don't linger at low HP. You know, that's Brand's game. Brand's looking for somebody at 60% health to destroy, right? He is looking to rock somebody when they're at 60% health, because then he doesn't care so much about his own health bar, right? When somebody's at 60%, all Brand has to do is land that stun, and they're dead. They're probably dead. So don't linger. You know, sacrifice a wave if it means getting back home. You know, stocking up on HP, buying a couple extra health potions, getting your AD carry to buy the most relevant, you know, item for that time, even if it's a weird number. Oh man, I hate to recall with 600 gold, right, on your AD carry. Tell him to get another Doran Blade, a pink ward, and 3 potions, and run your ass back to lane. Brand's gonna have a hell of a lot harder of time to finish you off with his mana bar if you just did that, right? You know, is it most optimal? No, it's not most optimal, but it's the most realistic. It's a very realistic approach to fighting a champion that you're having trouble with, right? I think it's a good idea. Don't forget to flash his Q in a team fight. People, and this includes me and plenty other strong League of Legends players, we have an awful tendency to flash after we get destroyed or rocked. After we get hit by the Lee Sin Q, after we get hit by the Amumu bandage, after we get hit by Nidalee's spear and she jumps on our face, and after we get stunned by Brand and lit up for a ton of damage, we're like, oh man, I'm gonna die, it's time to flash. Newsflash. Yeah, what I did there. Newsflash. Flash before the Q hits. Just do it. You know? What happens is you don't take all of that damage. Your flash is on cooldown, but at least you're not risking dying. And then as the fight continues, you have all of your cooldowns up. Brand has absolutely nothing. If they try to continue that fight, you guys will win it, assuming other things are equal, right? That's how you flash. That's how you flash. Remember that too. I think that's good stuff. I think that's good stuff. My friend who plays Ori a lot starts E and starts abusing the scaling auto attack damage with shield. Proc Yash shield and use E and auto. Yeah, I mean, Orianna gets rewarded big time for landing 2 auto attacks in a row. So if you, I think starting E before Q is pretty darn good. I do think it's a preference on, like, there's a couple different things that are involved with Orianna versus any champion, whether you start E or not. So if your jungler, if the jungle matchup is conducive to invasions or any kind of early game skirmishes, I personally would take the Q. I want to be able to make sure that my wave is under control no matter what. I want my wave under control, so that way when that skirmish starts happening or the invade starts happening on either side, I'm the one in control of the scenario. I can rotate first. You know, if you listen to pro comms, they'll always say like, I'm first. You know, I'm first. You know, that just means that they're going to get there before their corresponding lane. So in situations like that, I prefer Q. In your average solo queue game, where that kind of stuff tends to not matter as much, there's nothing wrong with starting E. I think E is awesome, especially when used to stop caster minions from chewing you up. Because if you can auto attack and then you know, shield yourself and do some more autos and then back out of the caster minion, it's like pretty good trading. What is the best strategy for placing wards, especially in the enemy jungle? So that's a really, really big question. Question that needs more pentakill Frozen Heart music. Alright. For this question, I would like to use a map. There's a website I used to use called RiftKit. I'm assuming it's still up. Let's see if I can get this working here. RiftKit. Sweet, it looks like it's still up. Alright, let me see if my stream will play nice with it for a moment. I don't know why this is black. Is it because of Tekken? Ah, here we go. Okay, there's my monitor capture. Oh, sorry about the blackness. The darkness. Oh, look it, there's me. A little tiny me. Fantastic. Okay, here's RiftKit. Let's talk warding strategy in the jungle, especially in the enemy jungle, to clarify. Can I make this bigger? I want to zoom in. Perfect. Okay. So, I'm about to answer this question in a relatively broad sense, but while I'm answering, why don't you go ahead and try to give me some more specifics? Time of the game. What role are you playing? You know, are you the jungler? Is this, you know, are you the support? Are you the mid laner? Right? Try to give me some specifics. What does the matchup look like? Is your team ahead or behind? I know that's a lot of info, but let's just start with a few. Pluck a few of those out, and we'll adjust our conversation as we go along, right? So let's start at the basics. Best strategy for placing wards. Okay. In a competitive setting, the best thing you can ever do in the enemy's jungle is to control an entire quadrant, right? And what this usually means is to get a deep pink ward in a bush that gets trafficked a little bit less, yet still is a intersection, right? So usually if we're, let's just say for example, we're blue side, us, and then them. Alright, us and them. Usually some of the best pink ward spots are in bushes like this one here, or in the tip of one of these side bushes here. This one too. These are really good spots for a pink ward because they'll see a lot of foot traffic, but they often don't get directly walked into. Usually enemies are walking around different paths, right? And it's symmetrical. You can, you know, it doesn't have to be us versus them. You can flip it and, you know, look at it from this perspective. If you can get a pink ward down here early, that's fantastic. And the most important thing, I give this advice out all the time to players, is, you know, if your pink ward gets discovered right away, don't fear. You know, don't fret. It's 75 gold, right? And it's doing its job. You know, normal wards used to cost 75 gold, and it's perfectly okay. It might be a little discouraging, but it's perfectly okay to have your pink ward get found and sniped right away. I don't think there's a problem with that. So keep that in mind. The other thing is green wards, your normal trinket. So again, if you can ever get quadrant control, it'll usually be 2 wards covering both major intersections. So something like this for a green ward, and then this. So this way you don't have to go quite as deep into the enemy jungle. You know, something like this and this. Here you might be able to play off of the enemy or your friendly top lane. So, you know, again, since I don't really have any specifics and it doesn't look like you're typing any, we've got the, oh, there it is, here it comes. Okay. I main support, but I struggle more with mid to late game ward coverage, and I find that place wards are usually easily discovered or don't actually place them in valuable places on the map. Okay. Valuable places in general are any foot trafficked area, any type of intersection. And I usually like to play based off of the objective, right? And so since we're talking enemy jungle here, it depends on what objective you're trying to take. So let's just say, for example, you're taking dragon, right? And you're going here to take dragon. One thing I see people do, and it cracks me up, is they run out and they put a ward like right here when they're taking dragon, assuming it's still us versus them. This cracks me up. This cracks me up because it doesn't give you any kind of advanced notice on how to play or any ability on where to like pre-shoot your skill shots or mess somebody up as they're coming around the corner, right? So if you put this same ward that people like to put right here and you put it right up here across the bend, let's see if we can zoom in a bit. If you put it right here and you can see them coming around this corner. This lets you, the player, set up, oh, I can actually grab these little thingamajiggies here, you know, right here to make a pick as soon as they come around this fog of war, or like right here. If the enemy, you know, I guess now the enemy's blue. I guess we're supposed to be blue. To keep consistency. If you're playing Thresh or something, you know, and they're coming around the corner, they don't get to see here. So if your team is doing the, I don't know where our jungler went, here he is. If your team's doing the dragon, you know, you want them to come around the corner and you want to mess them up upon arrival, you know. So good wards are usually like here and here for the dragon objective. But, you know, it's not always an objective that you're interested in. A lot of the times it's just getting deep ward coverage. In that case, you'll try to push them a little bit further to these locations. Why these? Because they're like 4 or 5 way intersections. So again, if the opponent walks by with a sweeper or a pink ward and they take out your normal wards here, don't fret. That's perfectly okay. If your ward gets taken out, chances are you put it in a good spot because you were able to spot traffic to begin with, right? So never fret if your wards get easily discovered. That's not a bad thing. Buy more pink wards. The other thing is, while it's easy to think about jungle a lot, and I'll kind of move these around to good spots as well. These are my 2 favorite warding spots in the entire game. These 2. They give so much information about how the opponent is going to rotate. Enemy top laner wants to rotate mid. Enemy mid laner wants to rotate top. Jungler or AD carry want to come over here and farm. Like, you see that stuff and you can make good plays and good calls, you know. Anyway, what I was going to say is a lot of people think a lot about where they want their wards to go in the enemy jungle. But you know what the best, absolute best mid to late game ward spot is? If you've taken a lesson with me, chances are you already know it. It's in the middle of the lane, middle lane. These spots in front of each tower, even if their main tower has been taken out, these mid lane spots, if I can ward all 3 of them, it might sound silly, but if I can ward all 3 of them with my Sightstone, I'll probably do it. I'll probably ward every single mid lane spot. And then have my pink ward near whatever objective I want to do or take control of, you know. That sounds silly, but you have no idea how much information you can get off of having control of the middle lane. Because what happens is every single time you push the middle lane, you have vision until the enemy clears that wave, and they will clear that wave because it's easily the most accessible spot. And not only is it the most accessible, but it's easiest to rotate to safety on other sides, right? So everybody comes mid at some point to clear the wave and then branches out to doing what they want to do on the map, you know. So if you have that information, all of your strategic play can be based around that. So, you know, I mean, think about it this way. If you're doing anything significant on the map, it is so much easier for the opponent to come down mid lane and then go to that objective. Or for somebody, let's say, for example, you start Dragon. There's one enemy in mid, one enemy's at his, like, blue buff or something, and the guy in red, at red buff, he wants to get over to the Dragon fight. Where does he go? Well, he goes through the mid lane. One way or another, he'll go through that mid lane, right? This just gives you so much information about enemy map movement, and you know, it can't get any better than that. You know, if you're doing Baron, the only way somebody can get to Baron, you know, is like especially if you have a teammate put down 1 extra ward, or let's just say we're being extreme. Let's just take 1 of these wards away, so you have 1 extra one to play with. Fair enough. If this is your warding pattern for for your 3 wards, these 3 right here, try to tell me how the enemy team gets to Baron without showing off where their positioning is. You know, they have to like come through this base gate, I guess, or through top lane and like, I don't know, I guess go through Tribush to get over here, you know, or they have to, you know, I mean, especially if this is pulled down a little bit, like they have to like come through mid lane and not get seen by your minions. I mean, what the heck is that? They can't do anything, right? They can't do anything without getting tracked. This is the best formation to have for wards, in my opinion, especially if you're operating solo queue status and you're the one who's controlling all of your team's vision. This is really strong. This is a really strong vision setup. Anything that looks like this is super buff. You know, these 3 and the pink ward here or the pink ward here, you know, just a little something to make sure that you can see them coming in. You know, that's super buff. Super buff. Yeah, so in recap, you know, firstly, make sure that you're not worried about the enemy finding your pink ward. It's a good thing if they do. It's fine. It really is. Buy another one. Buy 2 more. The other thing is, if your things get swept, like, understand that the enemy blowing their sweeper is a good thing. Understand that them killing your wards, it means that they're not killing your teammates with a roam. You know? That's good stuff. And then finally, when it comes to ward coverage, make sure that you're covering a major intersection of traffic, and it's a good ward. It's a really good ward. And these themes hold true if you're losing as well. Say you're losing in mid game, you know, just start pulling these wards back into your own jungle area, in your own mid area, in these major intersections. Look at this right here. If I'm losing a game, this is beautiful to me. This is a super beautiful ward layout. You know, something like this. Or if I'm really losing, you know, like you can pull it in even a little bit further, something like this. Like that. Major intersections covered, you know, tight ward coverage line. It really makes it difficult for the opponent to make plays without sweeping or clearing your vision first. I think these are all good spots if you're losing. And I think that the ones that we had illustrated earlier were beautiful if you're on offense and you're winning. Something that looks like this. This ward can go anywhere. I would put this ward like right here. Oh my goodness, could you imagine this warding combo? Maybe push this up here. Super buff. It'd be super difficult for the enemy to get through. So I hope that helps. Boom, bigger cam. I don't know how many of you guys I got to show off my Pax medal to. Well, that's the back of it. It says Console Tourney Champion. Check this bad boy out. Ayy. This is first place for Tekken. First place for Tekken 7 at PAX. And I took 4th in a StarCraft tournament, losing to a ex-pro gamer. Pretty frustrating. It's StarCraft Brood War. I don't like losing at StarCraft ever. But it was really fun. It was really, really fun. Alright. Alright. So we knocked out that question there. Let's see. I don't see any more stacking up in the old question queue. Let's go ahead and well, why not? Let me give a shout out to some people who hopped into the stream here. I've got BC Carlso. I'm just gonna say Carl. Those names with really tightly packed characters are always difficult to enunciate, you know. Of course, Cal Raven joining us. Jason still in the chat. Riven, Roxfox Riven subscribed a little earlier. I thank you kindly. And of course, Swagner. Unknown Bob. I know I've seen you in this stream before, but I still don't recognize it. Hey! Oh, it's Ben! It's Ben from Table Tennis. Ping Pong, what up, man? I hope your back is doing good. I know that's what we talked about last time. I'm hecka good now, man. I've been practicing at table tennis and I rock socks now. Man, I'm really sorry to hear that. My pop struggled with back pain for a really long time, so I know it's kind of tough. Haha, oh, I know. Okay. I won't say your name out loud, but now I remember discovering Unknown Bob's name last time too. How could I ever forget? Perfecto. Yeah, it's still on, you know, now that I've got a little bit more free time. Once things have settled down, I'm due for a visit to Cali for absolute certain. I can't wait. I can't wait to go down there and visit. Sweet. Looks like we went through all of the Pentaque most recent one. Let's see if they have another album or something we can pull through. We got 20 minutes till giveaway time. Does anybody else have any other questions they want to hit me with? I would love to answer some more questions. Pocket picks, champion spotlight, league music. Here we go. Music videos. We'll do the original Pentaque soundtrack. I like the original one quite a bit. Bow, 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 bow. Have they announced what the skin is? Man, I look flushed, don't I? You know, as flushed as a white guy can get, I guess. Oh, they did? I got so absorbed in my warding lecture. Alright, so we talked a little bit about X-Swagner's warding. Oh, should you always try to keep one ward in your inventory to use as offensive plays, such as when you're attacking in bushes so you don't lose vision? That's a really good question. I actually like that question quite a bit. So when it comes to keeping one ward in your inventory, I'm going to start with each separate ward, right? Pink ward versus normal ward. I'll always keep a pink ward available for objective-based plays when the objective is coming near, right? You can generally get a feel for the game based on how many fights the enemy team are taking during this time frame. You can generally get a feel for when the objective is going to come around based on timers, based on how aggressive the enemy team is being, and of course, based on kills, right? If your team's stomping, chances are the objectives will be a lot more frequent rather than, you know, both teams standing off against each other. Having a pink ward when your team is ready to do an objective is it speaks for itself. It's just so important, right? So always having an extra one. Another cool thing about having an extra pink ward in your inventory that I get so much joy out of this play that I always mention it, even if it's not that big of a deal. Almost nothing feels better in League of Legends than when a dude is attacking your pink ward that you have laid out, and right before he does that fourth attack to kill your pink ward, you just put another one down in a good spot, and they don't get the ward. It's just something about that is so satisfying. So satisfying. So satisfying. You should do that. It's a lot of fun. As regarding like wards in terms of like Sightstone, I generally do. I think out of habit, I generally always carry about one extra charge, because it's not just for attacking, but also if you're retreating. How many times have you played support and their assassin or their bruiser just like chases you to the end of the world, right? I mean, it happens like every game you play as support at least once. Well, if you have another ward, it's really important that as you're retreating into your own jungle or your own safe space, you know, through your brushes and things like that, you ward, so that way you can see at what point the enemy bruiser gives up his chase, right? Because if you're running from him and he chases you and then he decides to turn around, your skill as a League of Legends player in that moment, in that play, is going to be determined based on how quickly you can reassess the situation and become useful again. It's going to be about how fast can you assess that window of opportunity or get into that window of opportunity and become useful and relevant again. Because when you're being chased, you can't be useful or relevant. Your usefulness is based on the fact that you're tying up one of the enemies. And it's true, that's very useful. I mean, you know, if you've already used your ultimate and the enemy is chasing you, it's probably a good trade, honestly. But if he stops chasing you, it's the better player who's going to be like lightning, is going to be just right back into the fray, right back into protecting. Song name is Lightbringer by Pentakill. Boom. I hope that's good. US one with I've heard. Bump, bump, bump. Okay, here we go. I've heard it both ways from unreliable sources. It is better to do a risky play when behind or try to tough it out with safe, consistent play. Okay, so context is really, really important here. If you're looking for growth on the ladder, growth as a player, to improve as a player, it's always better to grind out your fundamentals. There's a lot to be said about playing safe and trying to play the situation correctly. The most important thing is that there are 10 human beings playing in a League of Legends game. That is 10 people, regardless of how spread apart their skill levels are. That's 10 people that can make human errors. And I swear to you, there are so many errors in League of Legends. The thing is that a lot of players never really get the chance to punish the enemy for their mistakes or punish the enemy for their errors. They don't get the chance to exploit the enemy for their errors because they made some kind of risky play and maybe they spend time in the fountain. And while you're in that fountain, you have no influence over the game. See, if you're alive, even if you have a lower chance of winning, which is where they say, hey, you should do this risky play to get back into the game, even if you have a lower chance of winning, there's still plenty of chances for the enemy to make a mistake that just isn't accounted for in the win percent, right? When you assess the win percent in a game, You're like, okay, can I? Maybe it's like we have a 70% chance to lose this game because the opponents have way more kills or better comp or that kind of thing. Did your 70% account for the chance that maybe they just mess up and throw the game, or like somebody gets caught and you just go do an objective, right? Like, no, your analysis didn't really include that. You know, most of the time it doesn't include that, but it's still a very real thing. People make mistakes all the time, and you have to be alive and ready to capitalize on their mistakes. So that's generally why growing over time, growth as a player, it's better to play the safe route and play safe, play solid, and but not complacent, right? That's the big differentiating factor here. Playing super duper passively is not going to really get you anywhere. You have to be ready to pounce. You have to be ready to fight, engage. You have to be ready to take that 4v3, you know, the split second it comes up, even if that means you're playing, you know, safe. Now, let's talk about when does the risky play become more relevant. Well, the risky play can become more relevant when you start seeing situations where a player is more interested in winning that very specific game rather than improving over time, right? If you're in your promo series, for example, you should, you know, most people will care just as much as if they're in a tournament game to win that promo series. And if you're just talking about raw chances to turn around a game, a well-calculated risk is one of the best ways to do it. You know, Hail Mary, bet the farm. You know, sometimes you'll be pushed into a situation where you don't really feel like you have any other options, and it's best not to overthink it in those circumstances. If you feel like you don't have any other options, you probably don't have any other options, right? So go for a risky play. I actually like the happy medium. You know, what I start doing is, depending on role, is I start taking calculated risks that are more about cutting corners than they are about some ridiculously big Baron play or to win the game or some split pushing play that you're pretty sure isn't going to work. What I'll do is, you know, I'll shove that extra wave as fast as I can and then recall. And even though I'm sticking my neck out there and there's a chance I might die, the amount of tempo my team gains by taking out that extra wave, you know, that's one extra push that we didn't have to worry about come time to defend. You know, I try to cut corners like that. I try to, you know, take risks to get farm, or if you know, I'm more likely to try to take a 2v1 even if there's a little bit of fog of war nearby. Yes, there's a chance that the enemy will have another buddy nearby and you'll lose the 2v2, but it's not as risky as a Baron play, right? It is definitely a risk, but I'll try to hop on that right away. Even if I can only get their summoner spells, it'll open the door for opportunity down the road. So it's kind of like, it's still risk-reward based play, but it's not desperate. You know, not the desperate all-in. So I think that's my general take on it. Perhaps champion comp plays a little bit into that as well. You know, after all, some champions do better in certain risky situations than others. Some can wave clear way faster. Some champions can take Barons way faster. You know, so when you evaluate the weight of a risk, like an all-in type risky play to get back in the game, if you're playing with 280 carries and one of them happens to be Vayne, Barons are way easier to sneak or to rush and be successful at it than a team that has like a Lucian on it or something like that, a spellcaster 80 carry, something like that. So risks will scale based on the type of champion you're picking as well, when you're trying to make those kinds of decisions. I think those are probably the big ones. I also think that a wombo combo team should never bet the farm on something on a stupid play like a Baron. If you're a wombo combo team, the game is always alive. So don't take that risk, you know? If you're taking a risk with a wombo combo team, it's because everybody's ult is up, everybody has flash, and it's go time, baby. Get in there and do it, right? That's the kind of risk you should make if you're playing a team with big wombo combo synergy, which you probably will never get to experience because every game you play is with a Vayne player. But for wombo combo teams, I don't ever count them out. You know, and similarly for teams that scale really well, I'm less likely to take those risks as well, just because there's always a chance that a Vayne or a Jax or something gets strong enough to where he just they 3-shot a squishy. after said squishy gets 3-shot, all of a sudden it's a 5v4, and you guys have a hyper carry, you win that, you go do something else. So wombo combo teams and hyper carries, I don't take big risks most of the time. Just grind it out. You'll win more games. Last comment, I know it's a little long-winded, but last comment on that is that the reason we're talking about these all-in plays is because the game has gotten to the point where, you know, you're in such a losing situation, right? So when you make these plays, like, it's important to de-stress and to just try to calculate. Think about it like if you were given this situation 5 times, how many times, you know, out of these 5 would you get winning odds out of it versus how many times would you get better odds by just playing the scenario out, right? Playing the scenario out is crappy, but you probably, in most games that aren't total wipeouts, you know, where you're just losing, you're losing tempo, you still got a good 30% chance of winning a game, even if you're losing pretty hard, just because of, you know, variance, right? I mean, variance of League of Legends, there's so many variables. But if you're Risk, if you're saying to yourself, well, you know, I can probably win this risky situation 2 out of 5 times. So if I was dealt the same situation 5 times, I could probably win it 2 times, right? Then that's better odds than your 30%, right? That's 40%. If I did my easy peasy math correctly, that's like 40%. So I would take that risk, right? I would take that risky play. That's kind of how I try to calculate things. I know it's not easy to do in game, but it's a lot easier if you're more relaxed, for sure. Context, ADC. What influences your decision during early recalls and your item purchases? Double Doran's, Longsword, BF Sword. When is it okay to not buy at all to save for a more optimal item? A couple different things. So the first and most important thing is your lane hard? Are you struggling? If you're struggling, you should be taking every single chance you get to try to shove a wave and recall to buy at gold items. You know, so double longsword, for example, you know, 700. That's 700 gold. I would be trying to recall at like 730 gold. So that way I'm recalled. I get the longswords. I get the potion. I run my ass back to lane. Right? I think that makes a lot of sense. If you're having trouble with a lane, you should always be trying to create these ebb and flow spikes, right? That way it helps you, you know, you have a more clear, like, I'm winning now, I'm losing now, I'm winning now, I'm losing now, and it helps you make better decisions and that kind of thing. Double Doran's, I'm old school. I will buy a double Doran's anytime I back without enough money to buy whatever my more choice tier 2 item is. So if I don't have enough for a Warhammer or a Vamp Scepter or a Zeal or a BF Sword, maybe a pickaxe. Yeah, pickaxe. If I don't have enough to buy any of those items, then I will buy a second Doran Blade. Second Doran Blade means you're king until they get an advanced item on you. You're just king. Your stats are ridiculous. I'm shocked that players have gravitated away from that. Because if you look at the stat line, it's just ridiculous. 2 Doran Blades. It's great. You know, you should just do that all the time, in my opinion. Do I ever go cold? No, I don't ever go cold. I think there might have been some context for it if a team if you're playing in a team game and you specifically want to play passively in a given lane. I tried cold just like everybody else when all the pros were doing it on pro builds, or you just go on their na.op.gg profiles. Everybody was going cold. I tried it at length. I recommended it to students for a little while. I did my own analysis. At the end of the day, it just does not feel good. It just does not feel like it's going to, if you're losing, it doesn't feel like it's going to pull you back into a decent situation. It feels like it's just going to dig you a bigger hole. If you're winning, it does not feel like it'll snowball a situation. If you're going perfectly even with your enemy 80 carry, then a coal feels like it's a perfectly even game. So then I question why you even bought it in the first place. I don't like coal. It goes a lot against my own personal coaching style and play style and what I view as fundamental strengths. I don't like coal. Regarding when's it okay not to buy at all to save for a more optimal item, I really try to pay attention to the wave, the number of waves, and whether or not I suspect I can last another wave. So when's it good to save for a more optimal item? Well, first of all, if both lanes are playing completely average playstyle, neither of them are going excessively aggressive or anything like that, by all means, farm as much as you can, because what's going to happen is either your opponent will make the decision to recall, and that'll let you push one extra wave, and then you can recall and be comfortable. Or alternatively, you'll hit that gold marker, and then you'll hopefully with the help of your support, you'll hard shove, and then recall, and you'll buy first, right? Both of these situations are pretty darn good for an 80 carry, especially one that scales well. I wouldn't really do this kind of thing on a lane, like an aggressive laner. I'd rather just buy early. So like, for example, Draven or Lucian, I'm always trying to get that first advanced item. So for Draven, it'll probably be a BF sword, which I guess is more expensive than the Vamp Scepter alternative. I'll try to get the BF sword. If I'm Draven, that was Draven. If I'm Lucian, I'll probably try to get the Cutlass, just right. If I can get that, I know that it fuels my desire to make that level 6 play, or that all-in that should be coming, if I'm an aggressive laner, right? If I'm a more passive laner, like Ezreal or Vayne or something like that, I'm really just, any chance I get to recall, heal to full, buy pieces of my upcoming item, or maybe pick up a small amount here or there, is good, because all of that represents stabilizing. I feel like you would probably agree. All of it represents stabilizing, and if you can stabilize in a comfortable spot, and you manage to recall, buy, and come back to lane, and keep in the lane, and they're still there, you can play the lane on your terms. A Vayne with a couple pieces can hold her own just fine against lane bullies, except for maybe Caitlyn and maybe Draven. They're tough. But Lucian, strong laner like Lucian or MF, if Vayne has a couple pieces and she's back in lane, until MF recalls, Vayne can go toe to toe with her with a couple pieces. And it's also really nice because, again, it refills your health and mana bar when you do this, and at the expense of a couple creeps, it's usually pretty worth it. We have an unplanned early recall due to early recalls that are forced upon you. Okay, League of Legends has really made it easy for you to buy pieces, and for it to be pretty effective. Try to spend your gold as close to perfect as you can. I would almost never forgo buying something. If I use my flash, I'll buy the boots. There's nothing wrong with that. If I use my flash, I'll buy the boots. If I don't use my flash, I'll probably buy daggers that maybe later I could turn into my zeal, or long swords that build up into vamp items and things like that. The most complicated situation, which is rare and it doesn't really correspond to the time frame that you're referring to, but the most common situation, or the most difficult one, is if you have two finished pieces of a given item, and then you back with not enough to combine those pieces into your finished item. And so that'll be like you have like that's a good example. The Infinity Edge, BF sword, and you've got your pickaxe, and then you've got like we'll just use the first example, 700 gold. So you don't have enough to buy that cloak, right? What do you do with that 700? That's tough, because it's not that far from finishing IE. You get the cloak plus I think it's 625 or 425 after that. I still get the relevant items. Nothing feels worse in a game like League of Legends, which is very, very snowbally. Nothing feels worse than coming back to a situation and being just shy of a skirmish that you could have won or turned around or won harder. A lot of people try to use this weird logic where it's like, oh, we did fine. Well, fine is never as good as good, or good is never as good as great. If you could have done better by just getting that extra attack speed from a dagger, or by if somebody forgot to, or decided to skip buying something that cost them a kill, or failed to keep them in lane, like potions are a good example for this. It's never good. It's never worth it. So all of that really, I think, really influences the decision to use the extra gold to buy minor pieces. Hey, what's up, Ryan? How's it going, man? We just hit 9:30, so this is officially end of stream time, I think. I don't remember if I put 9:30 or 10. I probably put 9:30 since I just got back from PAX weekend and I'm exhausted. Let's take a quick scan. Ryan, if you have any questions, please hit me up. We will answer one more before we clock out. Let's take a look. Did we have any other questions I missed? Does not look like it. Okay, guys, last call on questions. Anybody got one for me? Daniel, I'm so excited to see you in chat. Oh my goodness. It makes me want to stay till 10. Looks like I've got a Gwent in chat too. Thank you for joining. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. I didn't get to get any questions from you tonight, but I'm happy that you stopped by. Daniel, of course, as well. It's exciting to see you guys. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and do a giveaway. I'm excited to do my first giveaway for a Neo Pax Sivir skin. Boom. All right. How does it feel to be the sexiest Goomba alive? I feel fantastic. Lately, I've had so much more energy. I've been winning tournaments. Life's been good, man. You know, it was really tough for a long stretch of time, but lately I have had way more energy and I felt great. So, A+. All right. Now I am new to this Nightbot thing. So you'll all have to bear with me, but we're gonna try. Let's give this a shot. Keyword. Okay, and I think I get to type it in here. I'm assuming I don't hit roll it. Alright. The keyword is question. Let's see if this works. Keyword is question. Type question into my chat lobby to get entered for a chance to win Pax Sivir. Awesome. I think the odds are pretty damn good since I can't see exactly how many viewers I have. I've never been able to see how many viewers I have on Twitch. I don't know. Maybe the Streamlabs can tell me, or one of these little Nightbots or something can tell me exactly how much I have. All right. My Nightbot says that I have 6 entries. Let's count how many questions I got. How accurate is Nightbot? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 11 viewers. Nice, nice, nice. Are you sure, Daniel? You're more than welcome to. I'm sure somebody would love you if you hooked him up with the skin. Alright, now it says 7 users, but for some reason the 7th person's name isn't showing up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, maybe it's a scroll. Oh, I almost hit the reset eligibility button. That would have been messed up. Okay, what we're gonna do is go ahead and wait a second. That's interesting. Daniel's name got entered anyway, but I don't think he put the keyword. I definitely see Daniel's word here. What kind of Daniel's name here. What kind of sorcery is this? Let me make sure everybody's on. I think we got everybody. Jason's name is on. Swagner's name is on. No, it's not too late. You can enter. Oh, that's interesting. It's just, I guess it's just, oh, no, you still have to type the keyword. I see your name showed up, but I can mark you as eligible. Enter for a chance to win Neo Pax Sivir. I'm going to play one more song, and by the end of the song, I am going to go ahead and give it away. Oh, maybe Red Hot Chili Peppers. No, I don't want to mute my audio by using copyrighted music. We'll have to go with the Hex Core. Oh, how about the Thornmail song? This one sounded cool. Alright, we got 9 people entered. I don't know, man. I like instrumentals more. I can dig it. Alright, we got Carlso in. I think everybody that that I want is in on it. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Cool. Okay. Am I supposed to show you guys this? I feel like in order to make sure that it's a legit thing, I'm supposed to do it in view of everybody. How do people feel about that? Let's go ahead and so you guys can see what I'm seeing. All right, last call on question, and then I'm gonna roll the dice. Okay, screen, I think is what I put. Yep, that's it. All right, we got 9 users, and roll. X Wagner, fantastic. Go ahead and message me on the League client. I'm still Goomba Stomping, and I will hook you up, or Skype, and I will hook you up with said Neo Pax Sivir skin, man. Thank you so much, everybody, for bearing with me for the first stream. I'm going to be doing another giveaway on Wednesday, and I will follow pretty much the same process. I'd like to answer questions. I'll come a little bit more prepared for Wednesday's stream. What, you want to be seen on stream, Yoshi? This is my dog. Everybody always wants to know about my dog. Look at the camera. There, beat it, Fleabag. Anyway. Cool. I'm so glad everybody came by to answer questions. What is up, Mike? You came literally right after the giveaway, but I'll be doing another one on Wednesday, so I'm excited. I hope you managed to drop by. I'm also going to look into a way that I can do a giveaway for people who weren't able to stay till 9:30 or weren't able to check in at 9:30. You know, because I want to get everybody a little bit of this Sivir action. So cool, guys. Yeah, I'll find a way. In the meantime, check out my website that I just put out, leaguecookie.com. Pretty excited for that. Please create an account and fool around with it. I know there's a lot of text on that website, but I'm working towards a heavy-duty video release for Season 8, so bear with me on that. I've changed social medias on Twitter and YouTube. If you guys follow, I will thank you immensely for that. So, awesome. Thanks, guys. I'm going to kill the stream. But it has been a wonderful time. Boom, 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 boom.